This is a General Electric profile fridge, and a friend of mine was moving, and this thing had developed a problem, I believe, with the defrost circuit about a month before he moved, and the new place he moved into had a fridge. So we didn't bother to fix this. We were just manually defrosting it every 3 or 4 days. And so he told me I could take it home if I wanted to, and I figured I would bring it back here and make a repair video on it if nothing else. Now I know I'm going to get a lot of static about laying a fridge down on its side. Well, that is a fantasy. That's a false fallacy. You're not supposed to lay ammonia water refrigerators on their side that are like the ones that are used in motorhomes or really old rural installations where they ran on propane and a small pilot light. These compressor Freon type refrigerants, it doesn't matter if you lay this on its side. Yeah, the oil will tilt over on the side of the compressor, but as soon as you start it up, the oil will, any oil that migrated out of the compressor will be forced through the system and back into the sump of the compressor. So not laying a refrigerator on its side is a myth. You can lay these R22, R12, R600, whatever. You can lay these on their side all day long. Doesn't affect them at all. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this condenser off. Of course, you're looking at the bottom of the fridge here. This is what I'm constantly saying about people. You need to clean these things. You need to make sure these things are kept clean. I'm almost tempted to pressure wash it, but I don't want to get all this insulation and stuff wet, so I'm going to blow it out real good with the air compressor. But it's very important that you clean this stuff. So just clean it. Yeah, it cleans up pretty good. And I tried to put it back together as best I could. I don't quite remember how all these shelves were in here. Seems like I got something wrong here. Was there another drawer there or what that I lost? Anyway, stuck a thermometer in here. Should be getting down to around 0 degrees in the freezer. Should be under 40 in the refrigerator. Right here is the defrost timer. It's back behind here. You can see we marked it. You can manually turn it. So we marked it to make sure it was turning, because a common fault when these things go bad is that they freeze up and they stop turning. It was turning on its own, and it still wasn't defrosting because we had the whole back of this thing, the evaporators back here, the whole back of the wall there was covered with ice. And the way these work is they suck air in down here. That's the air intake, and then they blow the air out right there. So I did confirm when I picked it up that it was indeed completely frozen up and there was no air circulation because it was frozen. So we just need to diagnose why. I don't think it's the defrost timer. It could be the heating element or the button cut out in there. What I'm going to do is put the watt meter on it. Should be 300 watts running. and then about 600 when I put it in defrost, but I gotta let it get completely cooled off before it'll even go into defrost, because it has a temperature sensor there that won't let the thing go into defrost when it's warm like this. Okay, it just fired up. Like I said, about 300 watts, somewhere in there, as it pumps up and everything stabilizes. This one might be a little more efficient because it's newer. I think it's probably pissed off. Let's see, PF, power failure. Well, gee, I wonder why. Oh, so the way these work, screw this so we can see this. Here you have your thermostat right here. This is what turns the compressor on and off, electrical thermostat. This is what they call the freezer control. No, this is they call the refrigerator. Yeah. They call that the fresh food, and they call this one the freezer. Now the freezer control is simply an air door, and the way this thing works is it just cycles some air from the freezer into the refrigerator cabinet. So basically, as you turn the freezer up, you're closing the air door coming into the refrigerator. So that circulates less air into the refrigerator so that the freezer gets colder before the refrigerator cools down to the point where this cuts the compressor off. So we'll just put these in the middle. That's generally about where they calibrate this stuff. Okay, taking a look back at the GE, it's been running for 45 minutes, and it's kind of settled at 200 watts, which seems kind of low to me. And also kind of a general thing I usually check, which gives me an idea of the compressor condition and the if it's got a good solid full Freon charge, which these should never run low on gas. If they do, if they develop a leak, it's time to put it out on the street, no questions asked. You do not fix a domestic household refrigeration leak. If you ever have to open up the system, you just dump it and get another one. And feeling the coils here, they're warm, but they're not quite as warm as I would expect. I mean, these are just barely warm to the touch. And I would really like to see them not necessarily hot to the touch, but pretty good and warm, pretty warm. This is just like barely warm. So I don't know if maybe the compressor in this thing has become insufficient and it's not pumping quite as much as it should, or if it's a little bit low on Freon or whatever it's got in it. And it's down to 30 degrees in the freezer for running for 45 minutes. It should ideally be down around 0. So we gotta let this go a little bit more. You can see the warm temp light is on there. Well, the warm temp light went off. Let's see what that means. 25 degrees. That's not cold. That would make very soft ice cream. Alright, we've been running overnight. Right now the compressor is running. It's drawing 193 watts. It's been running for quite a while. What I'm going to do is I'm going to force it into defrost, and then I'm going to look at the watt meter and see if if the heating element is coming on. I would say 48 watts. I would say that the heating element is not coming on. In fact, that's probably just the light bulb from having the door open. So it's at 12 watts right now. So obviously the defrost is not working, but what I'm going to do just to verify is I'm going to put it back into run, and then I'm going to let it run for another hour or two, and then we'll come back and double check that. Now the compressor is going to cut off on over temp because its pressure is still too high. Need to let it equalize. Alright, it's been running for an hour. That thing is off. It's about 0 to 10 degrees in the freezer. We're gonna put it back in defrost. I'll kill this. Give me some more exposure. And the wattage draws 12.9 watts. So no surprise it's not defrosting, because the heating coil in here should be you can actually hear the Freon boiling in there. Very low. Anyway, okay, the next step is to get, see, when you put it in defrost, it should go up to a couple hundred watts at least, probably more like 300 to 600 watts. So the next step is to get this back panel opened up so we could see what's going on in there. This is the proper way to diagnose it. We know it's not defrosting. Okay, here's looking at the evaporator assembly, and we have two heating elements. We have a heating element here, running here. You can see the what's behind this shield, but you can see the wires connected to it there, and then we have a heating element here. Now the trick is this little guy right here. This little button thing on the suction line going back to the compressor. This little thing is in series with the two heating elements. And if this thing has a certain temperature where it closes and turns on the heating elements. So the heating elements won't turn on unless this thing gets cold enough. Now the judgment is still not out with me yet on if this thing might be low on Freon, looking, because the Freon enters the bottom of the evaporator here and boils off as it works its way up. So this little thing might not be getting cold enough due to a lack of Freon to even turn these heating elements on. So what we need to do is, I guess, start checking and seeing what's open here. As you can see, there's no frost at all up here by this thing. So that kind of tells me that it could still be a low gas situation. But we need to just start checking with a meter and see what's open or what's stopping the flow of electrons. So basically what we have is we have a white wire here that comes from this one up to this one. So you could see those are in series. And then, so this one's connected to this one, and then blue and pink come up to this plug and connect along with that cutout button. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ohm that. I'm going to unplug this and I'm going to check that to see if that's open or closed. Okay, well, checking the continuity on the little heater cutout safety button, it is good. Checking the continuity on the heating coils, it is open. So one of the two of these heating elements is burned out. And I would have to say, by looking at these connectors, I don't think that that unplugs off of there, or at least it's not going to unplug without breaking the actual heating element. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just remove these two as a unit, and we'll get them out and take a look at them. I'm sure we can visibly see what's burned up. All right, so obviously the way GE has made this plug with the button and the thing all in one plug, they want you to replace the whole thing as a unit. And this is the top one right here, and these are just quartz, like those old 500 watt quartz lamps. These are just quartz heaters, and this is the top one here. You can see the coil inside there, and this is the bottom one. And you could see this one is, well, maybe not in the camera, but you could see the glass is cracked on this one. And I bet it's burned up right there, or it's all black. I don't know if these connectors come apart. It looks like that's that heat shrink tubing that's got the glue in it. Yeah, I'm almost positive it's probably burnt out right there because there's a crack in the glass. And here we go. There's where it's broken. Nice charcoal-y burnt. I wonder if I could just twist it back together. You know? Is that actually... They can't solder that. They gotta weld that. I wonder if I could just let's think about that. I wonder if I could just twist it back together. I was just thinking about keeping this refrigerator in the garage as a backup for the one in the house. I wonder if I could just twist that together. You know, so I could twist it back together, or I could actually rewind it. I got nichrome wire. I could rewind that thing, but look at this. And here it is. It's the whole assembly. Like I said, it comes all as one thing, and there's the button right there. So for $12 plus $6.80 shipping, and this is a popular thing. Look at this, 68 sold. For basically, what, 20 bucks, I can just order a new one, screw it in there, plug it in, and walk away. I think I'm tempted to go this route with it. Obviously, this is a big problem with these, and this is probably Chinese made, but Chinese made might be... But it might be better than me trying to twist it together. Who knows? Oh, by the way, it's 725 watts, so it's quite a bit. Okay, so just for entertainment, I've twisted this thing back together, I guess, in times of crisis when you couldn't easily get a replacement heating element for $20. You could probably do this and keep the thing going for quite a while. Just do a cleaner job of it than I did there. But I figured I would try that and plug it in, see what kind of wattage draw we got. It should still be in defrost mode. And well, that's not encouraging. 15 watts. Alright, well, what's happened is because it's been sitting for an hour not running, this thing has opened back up as a safety, thinking it's, you know, it's defrosted and it's hot enough. So I will flip it back over to run. And even though the cover's off of it, it should still freeze up pretty quick and get cold enough to get that thing to close, and we'll try it again. Alright, let's have a look and see. Well, that looks good. I would expect it to be frozen all the way to the top without the fan really working, but maybe there's enough airflow right here where it's keeping it melted. Alright, let's put it in defrost. See what we get with the thing twisted together. $14 watts. What is going on with this thing? What is up with this? Alright, it's been several hours. It's night now. Still not frozen all the way up. I don't quite understand that. It seems really weird, but okay, let's try it again. I think this thing's a little bit low on Freon, I really do. Ooh, you see the light get dimmer there when I clicked at that time? There we go, 790 watts. Oh, that should be... Oh yeah, there it is. Look at it glowing red. And smoking. Yeah, look at it glowing red. Look at it go. No, I don't want to. All right, that's enough of that. Look at them glowing. $700 watts will get you some heat, man. There they are. All right, let's see what we got here. A package came in the mail today. This almost looks factory. It doesn't look too Chinesey to me. Well, it's not factory because it doesn't have the heat shrink over the connectors. Upon further inspection, I noticed that the new one that I ordered and received in the mail was a bit smaller than the original one. You can see in here, you can see the new glass element, and if you look at the size difference there, the old one was a couple inches, almost 3 inches bigger than the new one I received. And I spent quite a bit of time trying to find the correct element for this refrigerator, and I couldn't seem to locate it or identify it down. All the ones that seem to be available are the smaller size. Well, it turns out that this thing just kind of fit right in here. If you could see that, I just shoved the whole entire new element assembly in the old holder. And I'm just going to run with it because this refrigerator is not going to go back into full-time service. This refrigerator is just going to be in the garage as a backup to turn on if one of the other refrigerators, needs to be substituted. They're still 700 watts, even though they're in a smaller package, so it should still melt the ice. If it was a refrigerator I was gonna put into full-time service, I would locate the right one, or I would just get nichrome wire and rewind the old ones. It's not that big of a deal. So let's put this together like this with the new package stuffed inside the old envelope. And you can see what I did is I just bent the tabs over. You can see this tab and that tab are the same, and that's how much shorter the new one is. It's probably for a different model fridge. Probably got smaller over time. No, it looks okay. You can't tell that it's got a modified thing in there, except for the looking at that. It's kind of weird how big this gap is here and how this is right up against the suction line. I'm almost tempted to go back and look at my initial video and see if it was, this is how it was assembled, but I don't see how else it could go. Now to clean it a little bit, and then I'll put it back together and we'll try it. Alright, let's see what we got here. Watt meter's on. It's been running for 2.5 hours. .22, which I don't know about that. That might be a little bit high. Well, let's see. Remember, we got to get it cold enough to get that button to close. Ooh, I saw the light get dimmer. There you go. 600 watts. Let's see if we get any. Ooh, I can smell it burning, probably because it's a brand new. Okay, I'll pause this and see if it starts dripping down the water. You could see it glowing there, for no doubt. It's good and hot. Okay, you can hear the water. See the water dripping? There's probably not a whole lot of ice in there because there's no product in the cabinet and it's been running with the doors closed, so the only ice would be the humidity that was in the actual air in the cabinet. It's not like when you open the doors, you know, and it gets warm air in it, it's got to pull that humidity out. But it is melting some ice. I hear it. And I see water dripping down. So it's working. I'm going to call it good. How to diagnose and replace the defrost heater in a General Electric refrigerator, which it should be the same in all of these frost-free dealies.